said 750.
15,
He said
750.
750.
Do 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 do.
45, 47.
45.
That was Mike Epps was iconic in All About the Benjamins, man. He was iconic. Remember
Man.
when he tried? Remember when he tried to jump up and he jumped up and he jumped up and had his legs faced like a bicycle as opposed to trying to jump over the fence.
Yeah.
And remember when he fell? Remember he was tied up and he fell head first onto the boat. Like
Oh boy. That
we know movie wise, his neck would have been broken if he did that in real life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yo, we on right now. But I will say this much. I have had the experience of watching him in person at a comedy show, and yeah, something legitimately wrong with that man. Something legitimately. I saw him live, man. It was
Shout
crazy.
out to his range though, because he was in the movie Sparkle and he was a really
What's
villainous
up,
player.
Grizz?
And he played very well. He was a domestic abuser, like big time, and he looked very good in that role because you did not like him. But that's neither here nor there. Welcome to Picked Off,
Championship edition, baby.
The extension of the Gauntlet. It's like the baby that the Gauntlet is raising up. But I am your host tonight, Mr. JJ Jenkins, aka, as you see, an AFC title representative.
Oh yeah.
We got my boys James and Jay, aka Denzel Snipes, aka Philly Jim. What y'all up to? How y'all doing tonight? Y'all ready to talk?
Oh yeah,
Chilling,
man!
bro.
Championship Sunday coming up, dude. It's time to see who's gonna go to Sin City. I say, let's get it on, man.
It's about to be a good. It's about 2 good games too, man.
Let's do this. Now let's go ahead. As you know, we wish Detroit Dom could be here, but Dom could not. But we still love him and we think about him and his name. And we know that if there's any way he could have been here to talk about his squad and their potential.
Date night Dom he's on a date tonight. He's too good for us.
A woman does come before the guys if you especially are about to be.
Hell no, bros before hoes. We don't want to hear that mess.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's why That's why y'all stay single. I'm gonna go ahead and get married.
Hey, maybe,
yo, bro, you
know what?
Bro,
maybe
you ain't gotta go there. You ain't gotta go there like that.
Maybe it's a strategic thing because Dom he wasn't on Gauntlet last week and the Lions won. So maybe this is a strategy thing to help his team win.
When you're not used to winning, you think about those things.
Let me tell you something,
not
man.
true. I'm talking about Dom.
Last thing before we get into the AFC Championship. Listen, if the Lions win, if you guys think Dom is crazy, people that watch the show think Dom is crazy, watch how crazy he's going to be if they make it to the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say. That's
all the way till August. All the way till August. He's going to act a fool.
Now, you know what's interesting? You're right. Dom is going to be interesting. And I'm glad that you brought that up. Because before we get into it, I remember a Gauntlet episode 5 or 6 weeks ago when you were talking about what teams you think will be in the Super Bowl. And I remember saying my team, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. They looked at me like, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, here we are with a chance to say, you know what, Joe? You might have been on to something.
We'll see.
This might be and you know what?
That was one more.
That was an excellent transition. That was an excellent transition because Boom Payal.
Speaking of, exactly. Now, I love my guys, everybody, but I got to get on them for a little bit because prior to this game coming in, there was not one person on the. Well, I don't know if James, I can't remember. I think you might have picked the Ravens, but we see the Ravens with an upstart team that they thought they weren't going to be able to beat. And here they are in the AFC Championship game hosting their first ever AFC Conference Championship. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I don't care what nobody says, but if you're talking about the 2 quarterbacks that can give you the most numbers no matter what situation, it's these 2. And to be honest with you, these 2 may be the most box office quarterback battle of all the quarterbacks that they're facing over Mahomes and Burrow, Mahomes and Allen. It's Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Because in all actuality, both teams are revving up and looking great. Kansas City had their way through the NFL season, came into Buffalo, did work, had business handled, and they looked like they are back to form as the guys are starting to catch the football. Rasheen Rice is becoming a second threat on top of Travis Kelce. So Mahomes and Chiefs have so much going on. Lamar Jackson. I don't care what y'all say. He don't need 250 passing yards or more. 4 touchdowns is 4 touchdowns. And those 4 touchdowns is ultimately what broke the game open
Yep.
to allow Baltimore to host this game. So I'm going to take it to Jay, Mr. Nelson. Is Lamar going to his first Super Bowl, or is Patrick Mahomes about to just have him do it again?
Well, before I answer that question, I actually wanted to bring up something you tagged me on a post earlier and everything. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh. He really, John Harbaugh. He really agrees in the comments said he went to the Chargers. John Harbaugh, really got them boys revved up and playing ball. And like you said, they indeed are a team on a mission. I want to address a post earlier, and I ain't gonna say his name. We cool with him and everything, but he made mention that, and he's a Chiefs fan, by the way. He made mention that the Ravens were overrated and not the juggernaut as appeared. And I came on there, and I don't know if you saw it, JJ, but I said I wouldn't go as far as saying overrated because two of the teams playing on Championship Sunday, the Ravens dragged earlier this year. The Lions and the 49ers. And the 49ers was on the road. I wouldn't go as far as saying, the Lions made the 2 seed. Of course, the Niners made the 1 seed. The Lions made the 3 seed. Niners made the 1 seed, both in the NFC. But, the Ravens are just the real deal. Now, of course, there's always Patrick Mahomes. He's always lingering. He's always in it. This is his, 6th straight AFC championship game.
Crazy.
He played his first playoff game on the road. He faced a hostile Buffalo crowd. Now, I think Buffalo, my opinion, more choked that game than the Chiefs won it. But it is what it is.
They did.
So now, to answer the question, I think it will be Lamar Jackson. Because he said it on draft day, they were going to get a Super Bowl out of him. With that being said, I think the Ravens are the better. Now, the better quarterback would, in theory, be Mahomes. But I just think that the Ravens have the better team. Now, here's another key. At one point in time in the season, and probably for a good portion of the season, and of course, everything's going to go through Patrick Mahomes. But one could argue that the driver of that offense was running back Isaiah Pacheco. Even Travis Kelce went on a kind of a dryish spell, but Pacheco kept motoring, So I think, and pay attention, JJ, I think the key to winning this game is stopping Pacheco. I want you to get it on record that I said this. Stopping Isaiah Pacheco will be the key to winning this game. Do I think they can do it? Yes. But
Interesting enough, and I will get to my thing on my own on my take after James, but I'll just leave it at this. Your comment about Pacheco, I agree with that 1,000% because that's exactly how I feel. But we'll go more into that in a second. James,
Okay.
Mahomes Maato or Jackson and Zay Flowers? Who is going to go to the Super Bowl to represent the AFC?
First of all, I hate that commercial. It makes me sick every time I see it. When Kelce says, Kelce, how much you can save by bundling Mahomes and Otto.
It's cheesy.
Come on, cheesy. Let's be real. I kind of want to pick against the Chiefs just because of that, but I'm going to give you guys the real answer. So, everyone want to talk about Mahomes, and everybody want to talk about Lamar Jackson, which, all respect, these are two of the best in the game. That's for sure. But I'm giving the respect to the defense to both of the teams. And I think that's what it's going to be. I don't think this is going to be any of the hoopla, scoring 30-something points, shootout. That's not what's going to happen. This game is going to be won in the trenches. This game is going to be won at the line of scrimmage. I do think, to Jay's point, that he's right. Whatever team can stop the run, and then on the other side, maintain control and be able to run the ball well and convert first downs and have good drives that lead to points on the board, That's going to be the team that wins this game. So for my pick, though, it hurts me to say this, but I gotta pick the Chiefs. I can't go against what I've seen. I think that the Chiefs have a major advantage when it comes to the two of the most important things, which is experience. The fact that the Chiefs has been there and they have won multiple Super Bowls even in the last few years. Been to three, won 2 out of 3. And then I think when it comes to the coaching, I just think that Andy Reid is the best in the game. And when it comes to this, he knows how to get his team over the top. And I think that it's going to be a good matchup. John Harbaugh is a good coach too, but I don't think that
Super Bowl winning coach too.
I don't think he's on the level of Andy Reid. And that's no disrespect because I don't think anybody in the league is. So I think they have an advantage there. So with that being said, low scoring game. I got this as a 20-17 Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl.
That's what Bacon said. Bacon said 20-17. But he didn't make a pick, but he got that same score. Go ahead, JJ.
Interesting enough, I don't see it at all like that. I don't think there's a defense out there that can stop the Baltimore Ravens offense because they haven't shown to stop the Baltimore Ravens offense yet. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a low scoring game. I actually think that both offenses are going to score some points, but whoever forces the more turnovers is going to win the game. And now it's interesting that you mentioned about Andy Reid because John's a Super Bowl winning coach. You talk about players. Kyle Van Noy was on the Patriots. He won a couple of championships with them. Justin Tucker won a championship with this team. Odell Beckham's won a championship with this team. Guys that are in crucial spots at leadership points are on this championship level possible team of the Baltimore Ravens. So when I think about those things, I don't really look at it as too much of an advantage for them because the Ravens, one thing about the Ravens, and I don't care what nobody says, you can even fact check it with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. If there's one team that can beat the one person nobody thinks that they can beat, if there's one person as a quarterback that people think that they cannot overcome because he's just done it so much, this is the first time Mahomes has met the Ravens in the postseason.
In the bank. Or
at the bank in the postseason. Now, when Tom Brady's first chance against the Ravens was 2009, we saw what happened there.
33-19.
33-14, actually.
14.
Out the gate, no problem. We saw what happened when the Ravens went to Mile High City against Peyton Manning a year before his record-breaking season. So if there's a coach who knows how to handle in a situation with a guy like this, it's the coach that he is facing. Now, one thing I will say, and this is why I have the Ravens in this one, is for two things that I noticed after last week's game. Everybody knows about Lamar's halftime speech to the team right there. And that in itself speaks to the leadership that he has. And that's what great QBs and quarterbacks and leaders do. You get into your team on places that you need to do. And they did their job. But one thing I learned yesterday, and shout out to Lewis Reddick for bringing this up, and this lets me know the maturation. This is what, if you ask me, do I ever think he can win more than one? I would say he can win a couple Super Bowls if he stays the course. Because at that same halftime, Todd Monken said, Lamar came to him and said it verbatim. I know we want the big play, but we can't block them right now. We cannot do that. We need to work the intermediate game. We need to start getting it down a little bit more methodical. And next thing you know, 24 points come out in that second half. The very reason for you to notice what was not working, you recognize it. And you decide to tell your OC, we need to switch it up. Every great Super Bowl winning quarterback demonstrates that ability. And so when I heard that, I said to myself, yeah, I don't care if it's 17-4, 17-3 at halftime with Kansas City. I don't care if it's 10-10. I don't care whatever the circumstance is. I know my team and I know my quarterback is going to be ready. And I know my quarterback is going to figure it out. And I will tell you this much right now. This is the best Ravens team Patrick Mahomes has ever faced. The last time he faced a team that was 75% as good as this one, he lost at the bank on a Sunday night because Lamar Jackson wheeled them back. The first two games outside of COVID, every game has gone down to the wire, and he had one late game touchdown. That's how he won the second year Lamar faced him and went 33-14. But Lamar's debut season, he needed a 4th and 25 conversion to Tyreek Hill to beat the Ravens back then. So there's a lot that's tight with these teams. I'm going Baltimore because I believe in this guy. I believe in everything Patrick Mahomes is going to give us. And I love this because if my offense wants to prove that they're going to be great, Spags is the perfect defensive coordinator because he disguises his blitz, he disguises his defense at the very last second. So it's a lot of quick reacting. And one thing Lamar has done is shown that he has been the ability to adjust on the fly. And he's going to be able to he has all control. Lamar gets to call every play he wants. He gets to switch out. He gets to do every one. This is his offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does that with Spags' defense. And on the other side, with my defense, this was the quarterback I always wanted. Yeah, Josh is great. Yeah, no, this is the quarterback that I've always wanted. Because if there's a quarterback that has seen just about every type of defensive look, it's this guy. And if there's a team that wants to pride themselves on being the best defense in the league, take this guy down. I have the Ravens winning 31-27 with the Ravens getting a game-sealing interception as Mahomes is trying to drive down the field and win the game. Because I don't think their defense is going to stop Baltimore's offense. They haven't shown it. And one thing that they are bad in is run defense. And one thing that Baltimore is great in is run defense, run offense. Quarterback specifically, Josh Allen had 60 yards rushing, and now you're about to come across Lamar Jackson, who's not afraid to use his legs. Their defense is good. They have played great. They do have great numbers, but there are holes that you can get there, like holes in mine. Which, to Jay's point, Isaiah Pacheco, you stop him, you make their offense and their scheme that much harder. He is the driving force to that team. Kelsey cannot beat Kelsey in the passing game if he's not getting off and making people loosen up their boxes on this team. Because right now, everybody knows they can't do the big threat. MVD's not doing it consistently. He had the catch last week. Amazing, but he's not doing it consistently. So it's up to the Ravens, and the matchup to watch is going to be 87 for the offense versus 14 on the defense. All-pro tight end, all-pro safety. And for that, I've got the Ravens winning this game 31-27.
All right. Next game.
Now we move into the next game. And on the NFC side, we have a likely suspect that everybody anticipated was going to be here all season long. And then throughout the season, this team was getting a little bit of traction. They were considered the prince to the king and the queen of the Eagles and the 49ers. If there was talks like if there's one team that can make it or has a chance to defeat such and such, it's this team. And that is the Detroit Lions. In the NFC Championship game, we are saying the Detroit Lions. What's ironic is everyone in the world over the years thought Cleveland would get here before Detroit would in a title game. And here Detroit is going up against a very good San Francisco offense and defense and team. So I'm going to go to the NFC guy because the NFC guy who sees both of these teams more than we do on the AFC side. James.
Y'all played Detroit this year.
But you see them more than we do over the course of years. Like we see them once in a blue moon, so to speak. You could see them potentially quite a few times in the next five seasons.
Probably.
So you're more experienced on that side.
Okay.
So what I will ask you is the Lions going to give their team promise and make that Super Bowl? Or is Brock Purdy going to make a step in the direction to validate him as a great quarterback and make it to a Super Bowl?
Well, before I respond to that, I will say this. I did not think at any point during the season that there was any chance that the Detroit Lions would be in the NFC Championship. And I still don't know. I'm still not too sure about this team. I think that they got a little bit fortunate with who they've got to see in the postseason. Um, Tampa Bay specifically, they are basically in the playoffs because they won a division that nobody else wanted to win. Okay, and they won a playoff game against my team, sure, but we all know that the Philadelphia Eagles quit, and it was obvious in that game, and they fired both coordinators. So I like what the Lions have done, but this is it, bro. Like, if the Lions are serious, this is the time. And I actually think the 49ers are vulnerable because Debo Samuel is the X factor. And when Debo Samuel went out, the 49ers offense really started struggling. They ended up getting it together because the Packers made mistakes at the end of that game. But Brock Purdy and those guys, it took them a long time to figure it out and get it going. So that's the thing that gives me hope. So I actually am going to pick the Detroit Lions to
Hmm.
go to the Super Bowl. The main reason I'm going to do this is because of what the defense has done. Aiden Hutchinson has been heating up towards the end of the season and into the playoffs. He's getting after the quarterback. He's getting consistent pressure. If he gets to Purdy a few times, I think he's going to start to get rattled. It happened last year in the NFC Championship. Hassan Reddick was killing the 49ers O line and actually took Purdy and multiple quarterbacks out of the game. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but Purdy was rattled by that. And he's been rattled throughout the course of this season. I know everyone is going to hate on me for saying this, but I really still don't believe in this guy as a franchise quarterback. I think he's benefiting from a great system, a great scheme that does everything to his strength, and surrounded by McCaffrey, surrounded by Debo Samuel, Ayuk, and a bunch of players. But if Debo is not in, that is going to make a difference. So I'm gonna pick the Lions to pull this one out, and they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Interesting. So you've got the Detroit Lions beating the vaunted, dominant,
Oh yeah,
anybody but this team. Sorry, Jay, had to use that. San Francisco 49ers.
yep.
Jay Nelson, Denzel Wesley, Forrest Whitaker, Samuel, you name it, you are it. So, Spike Lee number 2. Detroit? Is our boy Detroit Dom gonna be happy? Or is
He's going
San
to be more than
Francisco
happy.
gonna be
Y'all have
Man,
not seen Dom in this form, but go ahead.
ooh, you know, I during the game last week, I was watching it with my mom, and I actually said because we were comparing like some of the teams of now to the teams. Because she'd been a football fan since college, she dated some guy and fell in love with football, and the rest was history. And we was comparing or just transitioning between like teams now and the teams in the '70s. And I made mention that Brock Purdy may be this era's Terry Bradshaw because Bradshaw had a team around him. You know, he had Rocky Bleier, he had Franco Harris, Lynn Swan, John Stallworth. And when you look at Brock Purdy, and he's got Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, also get physical with you too. You know, so with that being said, I do think that, and the James' point, yes, they did struggle with the Packers. Now, if is that more the evolution of Jordan Love, or is it like, well, that's a team that San Fran should have crushed? I mean, anybody's argument on that one. With that being said, Brock Purdy had his defining moment. He led the team down the field and got them the winning score. You know, so I mean, you gotta give him flowers for that. If Debo, and to another James point, if Debo is not playing, it is going to make a huge difference. This also would put, in my opinion, 2 times the load on McCaffrey and also on Purdy as well. They can't just ride, number 19 is not there. You're going to have to make up for it somewhere, obviously.
You forgetting about that tight end?
And a tight end, yeah. So with that being said, the Niners still have that defense. And maybe last week was just a one-off. I really, really would love to see Detroit in the Super Bowls, but something tells me San Fran is going to pull it off. It's going to be a key stop toward the end of the game. Niners defense makes a stand. I've got about a 3-point ball game. I'm going to say 20. Actually, about a 4-point ball game. I'm going to say 28-24 San Francisco. I think Christian McCaffrey is really going to step it up big. Don't be surprised if he has a monster game. He seemingly finds a way to do so. And yeah, that's all I got. I mean, I love this for the Lions, we're gonna bring this up on the Gauntlet on Friday as one of our Q&As. But I love the team they have. I love their coach and everything. Now, with that being said, if I'm wrong, would I like to see the Lions in the Super Bowl? Of course, But I just think it's gonna come down to a key stop on with about 5 minutes or under to go, a key stop, and then they run it out. So I got Niners winning.
Okay, so we got one for the Lions, one for the Niners. It comes to me to break the tie.
2 for the Lions, actually.
Oh, two for the Lions. I thought you said 49ers.
Dom is still a part of this team. So it's 2-2, baby.
Absolutely.
Or it's 2-1.
Well, we didn't ask him what he voted between the. We didn't say what he wanted for the Chiefs and the
We don't
Ravens. So
we
how are we
don't
supposed to
gotta
know?
ask, bro. We know.
Oh, he wants the Chiefs. So that's two for the Chiefs and two for the
Oh
Ravens.
no
Then
no. I
No,
was saying 2 for the Lions because
I'm
Dom
not
agreed.
saying we didn't do that for him. That's why. But no, of course, you're right. Two for the Lions, one for the 49ers. Now, I do want to challenge
he
a
gonna pick
point that was
Detroit.
made from you, James, and I've just from watching last week. I think Detroit's defense has a lot of holes because they have had a lot of big plays that were making from them last week from Mike Evans, from Cade Otton, and Rashad White. And I bring up Rashad White because he affected them a lot in the run game as well as the pass catching game. Now, you're now about to play Christian McCaffrey, a dual threat running back in this San Francisco system. No Debo, yes. No Debo is big. No Debo is there. But you still got George Kittle. You still have Brandon Ayuk, who is a big piece of the puzzle for Brock Purdy. And George Kittle has shown to make up for what Debo was doing when he plays.
Quick point, real quick, JJ. Quick point. As far as the Detroit's defense goes, I won't hold their feet to the fire too much. I know you're the defense; you're supposed to do your job. But truth be told, when it comes to the Bucks, if you and people don't want to acknowledge this because it's Baker Mayfield, but truth be told, if you give that man time to throw, he'll pick you apart. Plus, Evans is still a top 10 receiver.
I'm holding their feet to the fire because their defense has been the same way as all season. They've always had holes in their defense. Their offense has just been able to
That's fair.
overcome it. I'm not going to give them that excuse pass a little bit because of that game.
When you mentioned the Bucks game, I was alluding to the
Oh
Bucks
yeah,
game. Yeah.
But it plagues things that have been a bothersome for them all season long. They pass rushes on guys, and that started to affect them. That's why they got killed by Green Bay on Thanksgiving Day. You can run the football on them, and you can also get big plays in the passing game because even our own Detroit Dom has alluded to sometimes they give that up. So they have a decent defense, but there's a lot of holes in that defense. Their offense, of course, amazing, out of sight, airtight. To the 49ers, they are here, and they're in a spot that everybody expected to be, and then they're in a spot that everyone said that they're going to. Sorry, checking the Wizards versus Timberwolves. Forgive me. Basketball. Hashtag next time. Okay, cool. But Brock Purdy, are they going to feel like they belong in the Super Bowl because everyone has thought that this is where they were going to be anyway? There's a huge consensus because it doubles down on people thinking they should have went there last year with this team if a certain quarterback didn't get hurt. So all that mounts up to make me wonder, is San Francisco going to come in and take care of business and do what they're supposed to do? Or are they going to come in thinking they got it like that and they're going to get it and be in a dogfight and have Detroit win? They almost lost last week, and they were in a tougher. They were playing against a quarterback that's on a worse team, up and coming team, but worse team. Who do I have winning? Ooh, ooh. I think it's going to be another rematch of the Super Bowl the Ravens won. I think San Francisco is going to get there. I think Detroit has a winning season. It's up and coming. It's amazing. But if your pass rush does not get to this team, if Nick Bosa, if Penny Sewell, if Aiden Hudson does not beat Trent Williams, any of these guys, which they haven't shown consistently all season, I think that's going to be proving costly. I think C-Mac is due for a great game. And if you're talking about sports bets, I would take CJ McCaffrey's fantasy score sports bet this week, hands down, because it's going to be one in the trenches. And I think between the two teams, offensive lines are about the same. Defensive lines are not. And I've got San Francisco's defensive line making the necessary pressures and sacks that Detroit is not going to be able to. And they go on to face, again, the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Only thing I want to say, only rebuttal I want to make. Aiden Hutchinson, 8 sacks in his last 4 games. So when it comes to talking about consistency, I have confidence that he's going to continue to bring it. And I think that that's going to be the matchup. Him versus Trent Williams. And I think I'm taking Aiden. If he's hot, which he has been, I think it's going to continue, man.
Interesting enough that you say that, because he's just one guy. Nick Bosa's squad has 3 or 4 guys. And that's been the problem with them. It's never been Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden has always been the most consistent guy for that team. The issue you have, and he may win some matchups on Trent, but if he doesn't win that matchup on Trent, which there are going to be a lot of chances that happens, those other guys have not shown all season to get to the quarterback. That's where I'm looking. I agree with you. He has been 1,000% consistent. He has been doing the dang thing. 8 sacks in 4 games. But a consistent pass rush from that team overall is not there.
Okay. That's fair enough then.
And you know what? And shout out to Jeremy Ballwright, because before the season even started, I came on this show and I told him and the whole panel, and well, they agreed, that Aiden Hutchinson would have a double-digit sack season. Because last year he ended with 9.5. So he's a half sack short. And I was like, he's going to get double digits this year. Right now he's sitting at 11.5.
He won me some money because I put him in my NBA season joint over 10.5 sacks. And I ain't gonna lie, for a minute I was looking like, Aiden, what you doing? Hurry up, get over here. This 4.5 sacks for the last 5 games. What's up? But then these last 8 games, my man.
So we're split panel then. Half Niners, half Lions.
Now, I want to ask you guys this. Do you see the teams that you feel are going to lose this game get back to this point in the next 2 to 3 years? So, like, James, if you think you have the Chiefs and the Lions, do you see the 49ers and the Ravens getting back to the title game in the next 2 or 3 years? James, me and you have the Ravens and the 49ers. Do we see Detroit and Kansas City getting back here?
Well, that's actually was a rapid fire question, but
oh, my bad. Leave that alone. Leave that alone.
But I won't.
Nope. I'm hungry.
I won't comment on Detroit.
Nope. I'm being boop. We are saving that fire content for rapid fire. We are not.
What I was gonna say was I won't comment on Detroit, but I will comment on Kansas City.
Don't comment on either. Save that.
Hold on. Let me ask the question. This is the question that I wanted to ask. Lamar Jackson made a comment where he said that he feels like he has to win the Super Bowl right now. Do you agree or disagree with what he said?
I disagree with him because I think the Ravens championship window is going to be open for a very long time. And I do not buy into anyone trying to sit there and make these big deals about his legacy and everything like that when quarterbacks play till they're 35, 36, and he's only 25 years old. I think that is, but I will say I think that's more so related to him and the promise he made this squad And the thing people have to realize about guys from him, and I had to learn this myself, guys from the Broward County area of Florida, they are big on loyalty and trust, and you have their back. And if you do that for them, they feel like they have to do it for you. So when you say yes to win the Super Bowl right now, that to me refers back to what he said on the night he got drafted. And this goes on when they paid him, that showed him they believe in him.
They
So
believe in him. Yep.
when he says that, that's him saying, "This is why you believe in me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this for you guys because y'all believed in me. I'm gonna make do. I was always gonna make do, but I'm gonna make do on what I said I was gonna make do for y'all
Yeah.
now."
All right, that's
And
fair.
and that alludes to what Shannon Sharp said a long time ago. When they pay you big contracts, it's not based off what you've done; it's based off what they think you're gonna do.
But ironic,
And
right?
and if
Exactly.
they
But
believe that if they believe that they can lead you to the promised land, like okay, James, like Hurts got his money, right? Then went to the Super Bowl. They think that quarterback's gonna win them a ring. Same with Lamar Jackson. They do it based off of what they think you're gonna do. That's why Lamar got his money.
ironically, and this is interesting about it because with the Ravens and this thing, they didn't pay Joe until he won the Super Bowl. They paid this guy before the Super Bowl. And so it's just like an interesting dynamic. So,
I don't
Bacon, I
agree.
love your comment. We'll keep that comment. But I will say this. If Lamar Jackson beats Patrick Mahomes and goes to 2-3 against him, and one win in the AFC title game and be 1-0 against him, would that be more of a rivalry to put out than him and Josh Allen?
Well, first of all, the context matters here especially when it comes to talking about Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been amazing. He's been amazing in the regular season, amazing in the postseason. And we'll talk about this more on Friday, but the Buffalo Bills team has really let him down. So I don't really feel that Patrick has dominated that matchup because he hasn't. There's been a lot of games where Patrick was outplayed, but it's neither here nor there. No, I don't think this is going to die out no matter what the result is. Because when you have two quarterbacks that's two of the best, and both of them, at some point in a few next month or so, both of them is going to have two league MVPs to their name. They're two of the best in the game, and it's going to be a matchup people want to talk about. Also because they met in the AFC Championship rematch. All this stuff, like it's gonna continue to be that, and it's gonna be like that with all these matchups with Mahomes and Burrow and Allen and Lamar and whoever else you want to throw in there. It's gonna be like that because that's the way that the league goes.
Now, let me ask you this interesting question because daytime. If Lamar gets it, that means in the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes will be 2-2, no, 2-3, 3-2 against AFC North teams. But actually, no, did he play the game against the Browns? I thought Chad Henne played that game, or he did like half
No,
of
he
the.
played it and he got hurt,
He
and
got
then
hurt.
Okay,
Indy went in
so
a couple
in
plays.
terms of full games, he would then be 2-2 because he lost once to Burrow, and then it would be a loss to Lamar, and then he beat Burrow. So it'd be 1-2 against the AFC North powerhouses. Would that be something to be thinking about if the Ravens are able to pull this off?
No, I mean I don't think so because the Bengals beat them because they were a better team on that day. And if the Ravens win or lose, it's going to be because they're better or worse. So I don't really think it's about the division or anything. It's just like it's the playoffs, and you need to be better for them for 60 minutes. So I don't think that's like a narrative that's gonna needs to continue to be pushed because Patrick has also had success against AFC North teams. He's also beaten Cincinnati. He's beaten you guys in the regular season. So
But
you know,
I'm talking about postseason, strictly postseason.
well, still, I would say no.
Yeah.
This is
I
my
think
pick.
I think it's just a case of irony. Like go way back in the day for a second when the Bills lost four straight Super Bowls. No one talks about or mentions that they lost those Super Bowls to NFC East teams. You see what
All
I'm
four of
saying?
them.
Yeah, all four of them. The narrative is just they lost four straight Super Bowls. I think it's just a case of irony, man. I wouldn't look too
All
deep
right.
into it.
Last
Now,
thing.
Evan, final question. I know y'all go. If, and I'm asking this just because I kind of think it's stupid, but I was curious to get y'all thoughts when I saw it on NFL Get Up. I mean, NFL Get Up. whatever show Emilio Acho, Joy Taylor are. By the way, if we was in a panel, I feel like
Speak
we'd
for
look like
yourself.
speak for yourself. By the way, if we're all on the panel, the four of us, I get a lot of Good Morning Football feel from us at the round table type situation, all of us here. But I ask you this because they
The
asked
round
that
table that
question.
all agrees.
I asked the question on the thing.
That's funny.
I asked the question on the on my a phone on my thing. What happens to Lamar's outlook on by people or his legacy if he loses this game?
Well, people are gonna not give him credit for everything that he did this season because this is what's gonna happen if they lose. They're gonna say, "Well, you ended up getting a first round bye, and then you beat a team, Houston, that wasn't even really expected to be there, and then you lost to the Chiefs." So people are gonna say that Lamar is not really a winning quarterback. He's not this. He's not that. I still disagree with that. I think the Chiefs are just really on a roll right now. And you know what? For all the sake of the argument, I hope that I'm not right. Like, I actually would love to see the Ravens win this year, especially because I don't want the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. So if they win, I'm definitely going to cheer for the Ravens. But I want people to understand that the result of the season is not always about like winning the Super Bowl. I know people are going to use a platitude and say, well, if you don't win the Super Bowl, it's a failure. You didn't achieve the goal that you want. But there's a lot of good things that can happen in a season, even if you don't win a Super Bowl. So I still would have all the faith in Lamar as my quarterback if I was a Ravens fan, regardless of what happens on Sunday. Doesn't change my mind.
Yeah. Lamar still will have gotten further than he did, in his career. Um, this is his first AFC championship game. Um, this isn't like, because remember, the narrative used to be Lamar can't get out of the divisional round, right? You
Mhm.
know, and then he did. So, like, even if the Ravens lose, he still got further, and he still shut a lot of doubters up because remember, they were supposed to lose in the divisional round. Oh, Lamar's in the divisional round? Yeah, that's his ceiling. Well, he obviously proved that it wasn't. So even if they don't pull it off, and especially if it comes down to a controversial call, no call that favors the Chiefs, they ain't gonna
Oh,
hang
yeah.
Lamar for that. They're gonna hang the referees.
You know
So
it's coming, too.
I'll be honest with you guys.
And be honest, James, was that part of the reason why you made that pick? Is that part of why you picked the Chiefs?
Yes.
Boom!
It
There
is.
it is.
Yes, it
And
is.
boom goes the dynamite.
I do think the Ravens are the better team, but I just think it's going to be some bullshit.
So
Combination of Andy Reid and some bullshit.
it's interesting. It is in that dynamic, but it's the one thing I think the league does love is that sibling rivalry, so to speak, or that brothers in command rivalry or something. And if there's a team that has been able to go to beat teams in spite of the referees in the postseason, it has been this team. You don't go to Foxborough and beat them without coming across the referees. You know what I mean? Like you don't come across Tom Brady
I hope
on a
y'all do
couple
it
of.
again, man.
No, I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. Like you think understand where you're coming from. I agree in that part. You think like it's going to be a call or so. But I will say, what the heck does that mean? Okay, never mind.
Nothing.
I don't know what that means.
We probably got to wrap here in a bit, man.
But I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. I will say at the end of the day, the Super Bowl, if we win or lose, I'm happy with I would be disappointed we didn't get all the way, but I would still have utmost confidence that we'll be back. That's if that makes any sense.
That's fair.
Look, the Eagles fans is still going to have nightmares from the Bradbury pass interference. Because y'all know that if there was not a pass interference, we would have won the Super Bowl. And that's all I got to say about the Chiefs and how the refs feel about them. But it is what it is, fam. Good luck to the teams. We'll see you guys back Friday. And I'm going to beat this like a dead horse. NGBN TV app is launching on the 29th of this month. I need every single person that's watching on January 29th, and I'm going to continue to remind you, download the app. We need as
Yes.
many people to download the app as possible for the launch of NGMBN TV Network, which is a new TV network that we're working with. You guys see it up here on the screen, up in the top corner. Look, We're trying to empower men and change men's lives through sports and entertainment. That's what our goal is. So the launch is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. And we're really looking forward to it. Hope you guys are looking forward to it too. And we'll see you on Friday for the show. Going to be great. Going to be jam-packed. So can't wait to see you guys there.
See you guys now. Take care.